Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hello everyone, hope you all are fine. Today, let us learn the chapter Power Sharing in Politics of 10th Standard CBSE. In this chapter, we will study about power sharing arrangements of two countries, Belgium and Sri Lanka. First, Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Europe. It has borders with France, Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. The ethnic composition of Belgium is very complex. Ethnic composition, social division based on shared culture. So social division of Belgium was very complex. Out of total population, 59% of people lives in Flemish region and speaks Dutch language. Another 40% of people lives in Wallonia region and speak French language. Remaining 1% are German speakers. But in the capital, just opposite, out of total population, 80% of people speak French language and 20% are Dutch speakers. So the tension between two communities in the capital was so severe, so acute, because who constitute majority in the capital? There is French speakers. 80% of French speakers constitute majority in Brussels, but they are minority in the country as a whole. Next, in the case of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is our southern island country and just a few kilometers far from Tamil Nadu coast. Sri Lanka also has a diverse population. The leading social groups are Sinalas and Tamils. So, Sinalas, out of total population, 74% of people speak Sinhala language and 18% speak Tamil language, Tamils. There are two types of Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils. Tamil natives of the country are called Sri Lankan Tamils. They are 13% and the remaining 5% are Indian Tamils whose forefathers came from India to Sri Lanka as plantation workers during colonial period. So this Sri Lankan Tamil is concentrated in northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. And most of the Sinalas are Buddhist people, they follow Buddhism. Whereas most of the Tamils are both Hindus and Muslims. There are about 7% Christianity. They are both Tamil and Sinalas. So usually majority can take advantage over minority. Majority can force their dominance over minority. Then what will be the result? Will lead to conflict in the country. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka became an independent country in 1948. Sinhala community became a dominant power in the name of majority. So, a democratically elected government adopted a series of majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the only official language disregarding Tamil. So, government policies all favored Sinhala applicants for university positions and government jobs. New constitution specified that government shall foster and protect Buddhism. All these measures increased the feeling of alienation, separation among Sri Lankan Tamils. They felt that none of the leading political parties led by Sinalas was sensitive to their language and culture. Again, they felt that constitution and government denied them equal political rights, discriminated them from getting jobs and opportunities. So the relation between these two communities became more worse. As a result, Sri Lankan Tamils launched parties and struggles for the recognition of Tamil as the official language, for regional autonomy, again for equality and opportunity. But all these demands were repeatedly denied by Sri Lankan government. So by 1980s, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil Elam. So the conflict between these two communities turned into a civil war. So thousands of people of both sides were killed and many people were forced to leave the country. It ended only in 2009. Accommodation in Belgium. accommodation of powers in Belgium. So it's very important for board exam. Explain how powers are accommodated in Belgium. Or Belgian leaders took a different path. Support the statement. So the Belgian leaders took a different path, not like Sri Lanka. Between 1970 and 1993, they amended the constitution 4 times to enable everyone to live together within the country. So how powers are shared in Belgium? The important elements of Belgian model are first, the constitution prescribes that number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in central government. So no one single community can make decisions unilaterally. Secondly, many powers of central government have been given to the state governments of two regions. So state governments are not subordinate to central government. Thirdly, Brussels has separate government in which both the communities have equal representation. So French-speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because Dutch-speaking people accepted equal representation in central government. Apart from state and central state government, there is a third kind of government, that is community government. So it is formed or it is elected by the people of one language community, Dutch, French, and German speaking, no matter where they live. So this community government has powers regarding cultural, educational, and language-related issues. So this type of power sharing arrangements resulted or helped to avoid conflict between two communities. So when most of the countries of Europe came together to form a European Union, Brussels was chosen as its headquarters. Now we can see the difference between Belgium and Sri Lanka. In Belgium, powers are shared among different levels of government, but in Sri Lanka, powers are concentrated with the central government. Uh, Next, in Belgium, ethnic composition or social division is based on language, but in Sri Lanka, social division is based on language and religion. In Belgium or Belgian leaders, they realized that unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feelings and interests of different communities. So that realization have resulted that a fair or smooth functioning of the country. But in Sri Lanka, this majority people force the dominance over minority. So it is possible during a short period, but in long period, it would disintegrate the country.
Why is power sharing desirable? Power sharing is desirable because of two sets of reasons: prudential reason and moral reason. Prudential reason is based on clear-cut calculation, correct reason. So power sharing is desirable because it helps to reduce the possibility of conflict among different sections of society. So conflict leads to violence and instability, political instability. So to ensure stability of political order, power sharing is desirable. Imposing dominance of majority over minority may be good during short period of time, but during long period, it would disintegrate the country. So instead of concentrating powers with one level of government, power sharing is desirable to reduce conflict, possibility of conflict. So power sharing is desirable. Next, moral reason. So it is the spirit, power sharing is the spirit of democracy. So democracy involves power sharing because democratic government functions through people's participation. So people have the right to know how they are to be governed. So in democracy, power sharing is a must. It is included in democracy. It's the spirit of democracy. So power sharing is desirable. Forms of power sharing. In modern democracies, power sharing arrangements can take various forms. First, powers are shared among different organs of government such as legislature, executive and judiciary. This form of power sharing is called horizontal distribution of power. because it allows different organs placed at the same level to exercise different functions. Here, each organ checks the functions of others. For example, even though judges are appointed by the executive, judges can check the functions of executive or laws made by the parliament. So it is also called the system of checks and balances. Next, powers are shared among different levels of government. There are governments for the country as a whole, entire country. It is called the union government or central government. Below that, government for regions or provinces, it is called state government. Below that, local self-government. Since powers are shared between different levels of government, it is called, this form of power sharing is called federal form of power sharing. And powers are shared between higher and lower levels. It is also called vertical distribution of power. Next, powers are shared among different social groups like religious or linguistic groups. For example, community government in Belgium, reserved constituencies of India. Here, women and weaker sections of society can get fair share in politics. Next, powers are also shared among political parties, pressure groups and movements. So, in India, citizens have freedom to choose their candidates. So, it leads to political competition. Political competition shows that power does not remain in one hand. So, in long period, powers are shared among different political parties. When more than two political parties make an alliance to form government, it is called coalition government. There are also pressure groups. Pressure groups are people who want to achieve their own objectives. They do not want to influence government. So, pressure groups like traders, industries, businessmen, etc. So, they also have power either through direct participation or through influence in decision-making process. Important points to remember. First, distinguish between the ethnic composition of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Next, explain the circumstances that led to civil war in Sri Lanka. Next, explain how powers are accommodated in Belgium. Next, why is power sharing desirable? Next, in modern democracies, power sharing arrangements can take many forms. Discuss. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video.